So here's the thing. You're wondering, is it ever going to get better? And you have everybody in these videos telling you that it will. That one day you won't be feeling what you're feeling right now. And you won't be convinced that you're going to be feeling it forever. But I know where you are because I was there. Now, I'm not gay, mind you, or a lesbian or transgendered or anything like that, but I do have Asperger's syndrome, which is on the autism spectrum. And I know a thing or two about bullying because I was subjected to bullying nonstop, almost daily, from elementary school all the way up to high school graduation. And I never, ever thought that it was going to stop. Every day I would walk the halls feeling more like a ghost than an actual person. I wasn't convinced I was really there, and when someone would pick on me, call me a name, psycho, freak, loser, retard, it was sometimes the only way I knew I was alive because they weren't ignoring me. They were taking the time to acknowledge my existence, even if it was to call me a name. And that was enough for me for a long time. More so in middle school, I would say. But then as high school came around, I didn't like being called those names anymore. I just wanted it to stop. That's all anyone who is bullied wants, is for it to stop. And if the bully won't stop, then you say to yourself, well, then I have to stop. I have to stop existing. Because my existing is so wrong and so offensive and hurtful to this person that the only way I can ever stop all of this is if I take myself out of the world. So then you start thinking suicide. And I say, well, on the one hand, I can't swallow pills, so that's out. I haven't learned how to do that yet. I'm still taking chewable vitamins for crying out loud. On the other, I can't use a knife because I'm afraid of sharp things, so that's not going to happen. And it almost becomes a comedy of errors in that way. But maybe something in that comedy and all those errors was meant to happen. Because I'm still here. I didn't go through with it. Why didn't I go through with it? I can't tell you. I often wonder that myself. But I know that inside every person who is bullied, there is a strength. There's a strength and a tenacity to survive that is so strong. But the problem is that it can lie dormant for a long time. You can't ever know how much you want to stick around in this world until you have people coming at you from all sides trying to take you out of it. And somehow, if you're able to make it through, if you're able to get past all of that, then you become aware of that strength. Not when you actually need the strength, mind you. You don't know it then. But afterward. Afterward, when you can look back and say, wow, I made it through some really rough stuff, and I must have been stronger than I ever realized. Now, it sucks that you don't find all this out till later. Because boy, could you use it right now. When you're sitting in homeroom, dreading the first period of the day because it's going to be like every other period of the day. When you have to go off to lunch and you don't want to go into the cafeteria because it's too loud and there's no one who will want you to sit with them. Or even towards the end of the day when you're staring at that clock, willing it to get to 2:25 so that you can finally escape and go home. That's when you need it. And I know. And I wish to God I could give it to you, and I'm sorry that I can't. But I can give you this. I can tell you that I graduated high school, and then I went to college. And that was something a lot of people didn't think I'd be able to do. And I graduated college. I got my bachelor's degree. And then I did something else that nobody thought I'd be able to do. I moved across the country. I lived by myself for 2 years, 3,000 miles from my family, my friends that I had made in college, away from everything I ever knew. And it didn't work out in the end, but I'm still here. And then after college, I went to graduate school. And that's where I am right now. I'm in my last year of graduate school, going for a master's degree in applied behavior analysis of all things. I was in a documentary not long ago called Normal People Scare Me. Maybe some of you have heard of it. And that has interviews with other people on the autism spectrum. I've done public speaking all over the country, at conferences, at professional development workshops, at school assemblies. I go around now talking to people, telling them what I went through, so that other kids on the autism spectrum will never have to go through it again. And it opens their eyes. Because that's the very problem, is that there's so much ignorance that still exists. And I knew this when I was growing up, when I was in high school. And I knew this when I was in college. And even as I slowly became more able to affect change and do something about it, I still could remember that helplessness. I will never forget that helplessness. That absolute certainty that you feel, that you know things are never, ever going to get better. But they will get better. And it won't happen all at once. There's no great sweeping gesture. There's no moment of, oh my God, my life is healed and amazing now. It's very slow. And I think that's the hardest thing, is because high school is slow. And you move through those 4 years and you feel like they're going to last forever. That there is no way you are escaping this. And I know that. And then it ends. And all of a sudden the world speeds up. And all of a sudden there is not enough time to go back and fix everything that you wish you could have fixed when you were in high school. And maybe you can't fix it for you. Maybe it's, but you can help other people. Because if you make it, then they know that they can make it. And that's why I'm sitting here talking to you. To tell you that I made it. And you can make it too. I didn't have much in the way of a support network. Maybe a lot of you don't either. Maybe you have your parents, maybe one friend. Maybe you have a school system that's actually giving you supports and services, in which case, bravo, 2 thumbs up. I didn't have that. There was nobody who knew what to do with me, who knew how to help me. So I had to help myself by clinging on and holding on to the world as fiercely as I could, even though I often felt like I was just floating above it, somewhere off in the ether, staring down at the people, wanting to know how I could get to them. And I never could. But I have friends now, and even though it's never been easy for me to make friends, I've done it, and I'm happy with myself. And that's the biggest thing, is that I can look in the mirror now, and I don't hate the person that I see. I like her. I don't look in the mirror and stare at my breasts that are small and think, my God, I wish they were bigger. I don't look at my teeth and think, my God, they're humongous. I wish they were smaller. I don't pick apart myself to the nth degree because of all the things that I used to think were wrong with me. I like myself. And that was slow too. That took a lot of time. It didn't happen overnight. But I started telling myself that I was a good person. And that's really where it all begins, is with you, because nobody can give you self-worth or self-confidence. It has to come from within. And I know how hard that is when everybody's telling you all the things that are wrong with you and how awful you are. But you're not awful. And you're not horrible. You, in fact, are amazing. Because you have to work twice as hard to make your voice heard by everyone else. Especially because they're not listening. So you have to fight your way through everything. And that makes you so special. You don't even realize it right now. Nobody's telling you that you're special. They're telling you that you're bad and you're, all these things, because they don't understand you and they don't want to understand you. But that's their problem, not yours. They don't want to understand, fine. They're going to live in ignorance. But you're not. Because once you start to become aware of yourself and get to know who you are and love who you are, that's when things really take off, my friend. Like gas to a flame, It's all going to happen like that. gradually, but you'll get there. So I don't want to be just another talking head telling you that it's going to get better when I can't guarantee that, because nobody could guarantee that for me. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you for sure that it's going to happen, but it can get better. It can. And if that gives you even the smallest amount of hope, then I consider my job done, or at least somewhat done, because I know there's so much work still to do. So I hope that what I've said has made some sense to you, and I just want you to know that the days when you feel like you can't fight anymore are the ones when you have to fight the most, because you have to get through it, to come out and to be a part of the world. Because even if your classmates or those people say that they don't want you, there are people who want you, and you will find them if you can just make it through and find your way. So all of my best to you, my hopes and my love and all the luck in the world to you. And, namaste and be well, because the world's going to need you. So hang in there.